Yo, what's up, y'all? Welcome to the channel. This is my very first what if, and I'd appreciate it if you dropped a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Alright, y'all, I've been sitting on this idea for a while now, and I figured my first what if should be something interesting. This one is all about my glorious king, Yamcha, the Desert Bandit. Yamcha has always been one of my favorite characters in all of Dragon Ball, and I believe he gets way too much disrespect from both the community and the creators. So in this what if, I'm making a change that gives him the spotlight I think he deserves. What if Yamcha was actually a Saiyan? More specifically, what if Yamcha was the son of Tora, Bardak's right-hand man? I think it adds a lot of room for me to make Yamcha a much more relevant character to the plot, and get really creative with his arsenal of abilities. So with that set up, welcome to my very first what if. What if Yamcha was a Saiyan, aka the son of Tora? Let's start from the beginning, back on planet Vegeta. Alright, so we starting this what if back on planet Vegeta, but we ain't focused on Goku this time. This time we're focusing on Bardak's best friend, Tora. You probably remember him from the Bardock special. Him along with the rest of Bardak's squad got wiped by the Doria squad. Now in this version, Tora has a son, Yamcha. He's a Saiyan born around the same time as Raditz and Vegeta, being about 4 years older than Goku. See, Yamcha's a bit of an odd case because he's born with a really low power level of 30, but was growing incredibly fast in strength. At some point, after recovering from training, he got a Zenkai that made his power level explode from around 30 to the mid 200s. That, plus his unpredictable personality going from calm to a wild, almost berserk-like state, with his power level spiking to around 2000, made the other Saiyans cautious. It almost felt like he was using the power of the Ozaru without transforming. Alright, just so y'all know, I'm not making Yamcha the legendary Super Saiyan or anything like Broly. Yes, he can use Ikari, but that's about it. Other Saiyans might gain the ability to use Ikari in the future, but as it stands right now, Yamcha and Broly are the only two that are confirmed to use Ikari in the story at the moment. Now back to the what if. Bardock and Tora? They've been running missions non-stop for Frieza, but lately, the missions are starting to feel off, like they're being set up. They're getting sent into crazy fights that should have been handled by elite squads, and it's always just them. But somehow they always manage to survive and come back even stronger. Realistically, at this point, the team had a collective power level of slightly less than 200k, being Bardock at 45k, Tora at 44k, Borgos at 38k, Fasha at 35k, and Shugesh at 36k. That's when they realized it's not just bad luck. Frieza's just straight up trying to get rid of the squad because their rate of growth is concerning him. Usually he would just send Zarbon or Dodoria to deal with them, but the squad of Saiyans have grown too much for the duo to handle by themselves. That's when Frieza gets the idea to have the Ginyu Force deal with them. It's Frieza's most powerful and most reliable squad. So, Frieza comes up with a plan to get rid of the Saiyans by sending the squad on a mission to an out-of-the-way planet to conquer it and sell, but the Ginyu Force will be waiting there to eradicate them. So with this flawless plan in order, he gives the order to Zarbon to have the Saiyan squad sent out on the mission, as he fills Captain Ginyu in on his plan. We cut back to the Saiyan squad. They just received the details on the mission and immediately alarm bells are going off in their heads. Now they're sure Frieza is trying to set them up to get them killed. Tora think this is all fishy, but they really can't do much about it, seeing that Frieza could just wipe them all out at any moment if he really wanted to, so they just accept it. With that, the Saiyans set off to the planet. They land on the planet, and right off the bat, they notice that there's barely any life on the planet. Just some plants and the occasional bug. There seems to be little to no sentient life on this planet. That's odd. How could Frieza send them to a planet to conquer when there's nothing? Right at that moment, a massive blast blew up right on top of the Saiyans, killing Fasha and Shugesh on impact and almost killing Borgos. Bardock and Tora were both very injured and left barely conscious. They then see 5 figures descend down to the lifeless bodies of Fasha, Shugesh, and the still breathing Borgos. Raccoon then stomps on Borgos' head, killing Borgos before they leave as Bardock and Tora finally lose consciousness. We then cut back to the Ginyu Force reporting to Frieza that the Saiyans have been dealt with by wiping them out with a massive blast that even Ginyu himself believed would have injured him. Frieza thanks the Ginyu Force for dealing with that pesky group of Saiyans and gives them a raise and a vacation. A couple of days later, Bardock and Tora regains consciousness and see the lifeless bodies of their comrades. Both are badly injured and are pissed. They should have known that Frieza was going to try to get rid of them at some point, but to send a Ginyu Force to ambush them? He had to have been really desperate to get rid of them. While both of them try to regain their strength, they sit there and think about what to do next. They both know that if they return now, they might just get killed on the spot. They then both think about their families, Gine, Kakarot, Raditz, and Yamcha. More specifically, their sons. This moment right here is what sparks the idea of sending both Kakarot and Yamcha off-world. They then come up with a plan to send both Kakarot and Yamcha to a far-off planet out of Frieza's reach. So they both hop in their space pods and race back to Planet Vegeta. Arriving back on Planet Vegeta, Bardock and Tora both rush to gather Yamcha and Kakarot and send them both to a far-off planet called Earth. It's out of Frieza's reach and is a relatively weak planet, so there's little to no risk of them dying outright from the inhabitants. Bardock and Gine talk to Kakarot like in canon, and Tora gives Yamcha a red bandana to remember him by. They set the coordinates to Earth and watch as two Saiyans blast off in space. As they're watching the pods exit the atmosphere, they see Frieza's ship approaching. They look at each other, nod, and decide to have their final stand against Frieza, while also being a distraction for Yamcha and Kakarot to escape to Earth. Just like in canon, Frieza overpowers their blast and destroys Planet Vegeta. And with that, we end part 1 off here, with the Saiyan duo crash landing on Earth. And that's the backstory. Yamcha is Tora's son, Bardock's last mission, and the fall of Planet Vegeta. I personally really love the idea of the Ginyu Force being the ones to wipe out the rest of the team instead of that bum Dodoria. I think it really shows the growth rate of Bardock's squad and gives them the respect they deserve, even if they did basically get one shot by the Ginyu Force. We start this part off with the Saiyan duo crash landing on Earth, with Goku landing in the same spot as in canon, being Mount Paozu, and being found by Grandpa Gohan. Yamcha doesn't land anywhere near Mount Paozu. He instead lands in a similar place to where Piccolo and Gohan were training for the Saiyans in canon. Goku was still raised by Grandpa Gohan, but instead of meeting Roshi when he did in canon, he actually gets introduced to him a few years before Grandpa Gohan's death. Yamcha landing nowhere near civilization means he has to learn how to survive in dangerous conditions in the same way that Kid Gohan did by being hunted by dinosaurs and finding his own food and making shelter. Him surviving by himself in the wilderness means that his socialization skills are even worse than Goku's. We then skip a few years forward to the start of Dragon Ball, with Goku and Bulma meeting the Saiyans they did in canon. But Goku is a bit smarter and stronger due to him meeting Roshi earlier and training with him, with his power level being around 80 instead of 10 like it was in canon. Bulma and Goku set out to find the Dragon Balls, with Goku soloing every enemy until the eventual meeting of Yamcha, who's currently in an intense battle. We cut to Yamcha in the middle of a fight to the death with a huge monster. Dodging and weaving in attacks, it's clear that Yamcha has the edge in this battle. The monster roars as it swings its arm down in anger to try to land a killing blow. The attack looks like it's about to hit right on the target, but at the last second Yamcha dodges and delivers a devastating uppercut, stunning the monster. He then smirks. Seeing an opening, he powers up and delivers his finishing move, the Beast Barrage. He lands a flurry of powerful strikes and kicks before sweeping the monster off his feet, before cuffing both of his hands together, roaring as he drives both of his hands through the monster, tearing it apart. You could almost hear an echo of a beast as Yamcha roars after his victory. Before we continue, I'd like to address the power scaling concern. I want to talk about Yamcha's power a little bit here. In the last part, I said his power level jumped from around 30 to around 200 or so. While it might seem like overkill, it was meant to show how explosive his power jumps could be in the future. Also, I don't plan on Yamcha utilizing Ikari often as a kid, or even having direct access to the form. And as seen already, I will make other characters jump more in power in mid to late Dragon Ball. With that being said, let's continue with the video. Goku and Bulma just witnessed this child 1v1 a monster and win by leaving it in pieces. Bulma is just in shock and is terrified of Yamcha, while Goku on the other hand is excited after witnessing such a battle. Yamcha notices the two and is instantly on guard as he thinks they might be trying to take his food. Goku would then ask Yamcha to show him how he did that while trying to mimic his moves. Bulma then notices he also has a tail, something Goku also realizes after getting a bit closer. It also feels like he's seen him before. Yamcha then realizes he knows who's standing in front of him. He mutters the name, Kakarot, confusing both Bulma and Goku, as they've both never heard that name before. Yamcha then points again at Goku, saying, "You're Kakarot, don't you remember?" Bulma, confused, looks at Goku and says, "I thought your name was Goku." Goku is struggling to understand what Yamcha meant and is just confused. Yamcha then points out they both have tails, telling Goku only Saiyans have tails, as he then explains what he remembers from their home planet, and that Saiyans transform when they look at the moon. This shocks Goku and terrifies Bulma even more because that means these two are aliens. Yamcha then tells him to follow him as he leads them to his old space pod. Bulma is amazed at the alien technology, and Goku is starting to remember bits and pieces of his past. Yamcha then plays a recording of Tora telling Yamcha to find Kakarot and become strong and formidable warriors. They are some of the last Saiyans left after Planet Vegeta's destruction. A couple of hours later, and a bunch of explaining, the two sit in silence, just taking all the information in. Goku coming to terms with him being a Saiyan, and Bulma being interested in the Saiyan technology. She then notices Yamcha staring at her before he offers a piece of the monster he killed and cooked. She looked surprised for a second before she regains her composure as she smiles, taking it from him and thanking him. Bulma then asks Yamcha if he'd like to join their journey to gather the Dragon Balls. Yamcha asks what they are as she explains what the Dragon Balls do. He thinks on it for a second, then agrees upon one condition. She asks Yamcha, "What is that?" He says only if he gets to fight all the strong people. Goku then shouts, "Hey, what about me? I want to fight strong people too." Bulma just laughs, catching Yamcha's attention again before making a deal and shaking their hand. With Yamcha added to the party, they continue their journey to find all 7 Dragon Balls, encountering many foes along the way and growing together as a group. We then cut forward to where Goku and Bulma meet Master Roshi for the first time in canon, but instead, Goku already knows Master Roshi, and this is actually the first reunion since Grandpa Gohan was alive. Goku then explains what happened in the time he's last seen him, and Roshi is shocked to say the least. Hearing that Goku's actually an alien sent across the universe to survive, he can also transform into a giant monkey, and he accidentally killed Grandpa Gohan one night because he transformed? Yeah, safe to say anyone would be stunned, at the very least, from this information. Master Roshi then notices Yamcha and Bulma, and that Yamcha also has a tail. He asks Goku who they are, and Goku explains who Yamcha and Bulma are. They greet Roshi before he asks Yamcha if he would like to hone his skills at the Turtle School after they finish their journey to find the Dragon Ball. Goku's eyes light up upon hearing this because he's received training from Roshi before, so he vouches Yamcha to do it since Roshi's an amazing teacher. Yamcha thinks about it for a second and decides he'll rock with the Turtle School for a little bit. It's a great chance for him to gain more experience as a fighter and add new techniques to his arsenal of abilities. So it's a deal. After the journey for the Dragon Balls, Goku and Yamcha will become formal students of the Turtle School. Master Roshi gives him the 3-star Dragon Ball and gives Goku the Nimbus as the group continues on their journey for the Dragon Balls, arriving at the Fire Mountain, extinguishing it with the help of Master Roshi, just like in canon. We then again see Goku successfully using the Kamehameha for the first time, but instead of just damaging Bulma's car, he completely erases it, and along with scorching the ground behind it. She then yells about her car being destroyed. Yamcha looks at his hands, thinking about trying it too, as he cups his hands together, charging up his ki and releasing a Kamehameha that might have even surpassed Master Roshi's in strength. and fly something to the near in the distance and put a hole in a nearby mountain, leaving everyone in shock. Goku and Bulma have seen what Yamcha could do before, but they did not expect him to be this strong. Roshi and Ox King both looked at each other, even more shocked than seeing Goku use the Kamehameha. These two are really incredible. It took Master Roshi around 50 years to learn how to do the Kamehameha, but these two did it after just seeing it once. After the Ox King calms down after the spectacular series of events that just happened, he thanks the group as they leave. Most events after happen the same as they did in canon, up until they meet the Pilaf gang, while they're still captured by the Pilaf gang. This time, Yamcha's actually strong enough to just break out of the room that they were locked in way before they did in canon, without either one of the Saiyans transforming into Rosario. They defeat the Pilaf gang and continue on with their journey. Breaking free from the Pilaf gang and Oolong stealing Wish, stopping the Pilaf gang from getting world domination, we see the team relaxing after a long journey thinking about what to do next. That's when they decide this is where they split for the time being. Bulma returns back to West City, Goku and Yamcha go to Kame House for training with Roshi, and Oolong decides to tag along with Goku and Yamcha. They say their goodbyes and set off. On the way home, Bulma thinks about how she didn't get to wish for a boyfriend in the end, but then an image of Yamcha flashed in her head. She smiles, thinking she might not have to wish for a boyfriend in the end. We then cut back to the Saiyan duo who just made it to Kame House. Roshi is a little surprised to see them back so soon. He knows what they're here for, strength training. While they're talking, Oolong notices that a boat is approaching the island. Of course, it's the one and only Krillin. He's here just like in canon to train with the legendary Turtle Hermit. With Krillin added to the Turtle School, he realized that he's far behind Goku, let alone Yamcha. Roshi noticed this, and he also realizes that Yamcha might even be stronger than he is. So instead of giving Yamcha regular strength training, he gives Yamcha training to improve mostly technique, while Goku and Krillin both do the same training they did in canon. Roshi even starts training again because he wants to teach them that there's always going to be someone stronger. Sometime later, Roshi comes up with the idea of the trio entering the world tournament, which excites everyone because it sounds amazing. They have the chance to see how much stronger they've become, and they get to meet many more amazing fighters from all across the world. Now here, I want to talk about power levels and where everyone is currently. Since Yamcha is much stronger than the others, they have much more motivation to get stronger, which they do. So here are the current power levels. Goku is at a power level of 240. Krillin is at a power level 180. Master Roshi is at a power level 195 in base and 292 at max power, and Yamcha is at a power level 260. Also, I bet y'all are wondering, why hasn't Yamcha gotten much stronger? The reason for that is because he really hasn't been pushed hard enough for him to warrant gaining more power, since he's just been outscaling everyone so badly. There really hasn't been much of a challenge for him throughout the majority of his childhood. For this reason, I made him undergo technique training instead of the regular training that Goku and Krillin did before. The other three had a lot of ground to cover and still haven't managed to close the gap fully. With that said, let's skip forward to the start of the tournament. Goku still realizes that they should hold back, because if they don't, they could end up killing someone. They then realize they can't find Master Roshi anywhere. Oolong just assumes he's harassing a girl somewhere and that he'll just turn up sooner or later. They continue to fly through the contestants, since they're just that much stronger than everyone here. This really isn't a challenge to them. We then get to the semifinals, with the matchup being Goku versus Jackie Chun and Yamcha versus Krillin. First up is Yamcha versus Krillin. We start this fight off with Krillin immediately dashing at Yamcha, trying to land a flurry of attacks. Yamcha dodges most of them before parrying the last one and sweeping Krillin off his feet. Krillin, shocked, lands on his hands as he tries to go for a leg sweep, but Yamcha jumps over, landing a punch, launching Krillin a few feet away. With that one exchange, Krillin realizes he's nowhere near the level of Yamcha in strength and skill. So instead of trying to overpower him outright, he tries multiple different techniques to win, with little to no success. He then tries to use his trump card, the Kamehameha. He charges up and shoots it at Yamcha. Yamcha realizes that the Kamehameha is way stronger than he expected, so he tries to dodge it. He thinks he managed to dodge it at the last minute, but Krillin just bends it back, hitting him square in the back, dealing massive damage to Yamcha. Krillin is almost completely gassed out for using so much power, and controlling the Kamehameha to that level took a lot out of him. Yamcha then gets up in pain, saying he didn't know Krillin could control the Kamehameha to that level, or even that he could use it. Him being caught off guard by the Kamehameha and Krillin using up most of his energy made this battle much more even. They then exchanged more blows before clashing fists in the center of the stage. Yamcha then shifts his punch to a grab and then knees Krillin in the stomach before backflipping across the stage. With this opening created, he decides to test out a new technique, Wolf Fang Fist. He launches forward at Krillin at full speed, landing strike after strike before cuffing his hands together, shouting, "Wolf Fang Fist!" connecting and launching Krillin out of the ring. They then announce Yamcha as the winner via ring out as he goes over to help Krillin up off the ground. He says he wasn't expecting him to pull off a bending Kamehameha. He then apologizes to Krillin for underestimating him and says he won't underestimate him again in the future. With that amazing spectacle of a match out of the way, we move on to the next match a couple hours later, Roshi vs Goku. Now this fight goes very similarly to how it did in canon, but instead of Goku falling down before he could pronounce he's the winner, he actually manages to say the full thing, winning the match here. Now the reason for skipping over this match is because there really isn't much that changes here. Goku being a bit stronger than Roshi here in base means he manages to edge out the victory this time. We then skip forward a couple of days with them preparing the ring after the semifinals to start the final match, Goku vs Yamcha. Now both boys got stronger from their close matches in the semifinals. Goku got a bit stronger because this fight was a bit closer than Yamcha's was. So we start this match off with Goku and Yamcha sitting there sizing each other up. Yamcha learned from his match with Krillin and watching Goku vs Jackie-chan that he shouldn't underestimate his opponents. That fatal mistake in his last match almost caused him to lose on the spot. That's when Goku decides he's going to make the first move by dashing at blinding speeds to try to catch Yamcha off guard. Yamcha, expecting this, decides to block the oncoming strike, causing a massive shockwave to ring out in the arena that could even be heard in the city. They start trading blows, dashing all across the stage. Yamcha is slightly more skilled than Goku in these exchanges, so he managed to create an opening that leads to him landing a strong kick on Goku's side, leaving Goku wide open. Yamcha then tries to follow up with another attack, but Goku recovered much quicker than he thought as he parries the incoming attack while simultaneously landing two powerful punches of his own, stunning Yamcha. Goku then lands a combo of multiple powerful attacks in a row before knocking Yamcha to the ground with a powerful gut punch. Yamcha, clutching his stomach, gets up and decides to change his stance to a more animalistic one. He launches at Goku, landing his own combination of attacks before grabbing Goku by the legs and slamming him to the ground, dealing massive damage. Goku then gets back up with a smile on his face, saying that this is the first time he's ever fought Yamcha seriously. Yamcha pauses, then agrees, saying he's never been this excited to fight someone. They both walk up to the center of the stage, fist bump, they backflip, and dash head first at each other. They clash, sending more shockwaves throughout the arena, trading good amounts of damage back and forth before they both land a devastating punch upon each other's face, knocking them to the ground. After fighting for so long, they were getting really low on energy, so they decide to end this battle with a beam clash. They charge up their ki, cover their hands together, and unleash all their remaining energy in a big Kamehameha. The beams collide, destroying the arena, sending both boys out of the arena, ending in a double ring out. With that, the tournament comes to an explosive end, with the two contestants ringing each other out with the beam clash. Master Roshi then walks up and compliments the boys for giving such an amazing match, and giving them one last piece of advice. Strength isn't the only thing that determines who wins in a fight. You can have all the strength in the world, but it wouldn't matter if you couldn't use it effectively. He then says the Turtle School mantra: work hard, study well, and eat and sleep plenty. We then cut to the Turtle School, enjoying dinner at a nearby restaurant, with Goku and Yamcha blowing through all their prize money in one night just from eating. Krillin, Oolong, and Master Roshi are just in shock seeing the two eat just that much food. Their stomachs must be like black holes with how much food they ate. The two just laughs as we then cut away to a certain rival of the Turtle Hermit, Master Chin, and the infamous Crane School. He just witnessed the Turtle School dominate in the 21st Budokai on TV, and the power they had on display really pissed him off. How could the Turtle School be so much further ahead of the Crane School? He then thinks as he gets an amazing idea. He then asks Tien how he would like to train under his brother, Mercenary Tao. After watching the Turtle School dominate in 21st Budokai, Shin decides to send Tien to train with Mercenary Tao. He believes training with Mercenary Tao would give Tien and the Crane School the boost in power they need to overcome the Turtle School in the next tournament. With that, Tien sets off to train with Tao and gives the Crane School a much needed buff in power they need to even rival or surpass the Turtle School. We cut back to the Saiyan duo after the 21st Budokai. Roshi believes that his students have grown a lot over these past few months. They have mastered the basics and continue to show improvement in both strength and skill. Roshi thinks that their training is complete and that the squad should go on another adventure. So he lets the boys know that they finished with their training for now and they should go out and explore the world more. They thank Roshi and set off with Goku thinking they should collect the Dragon Balls again, especially the 4-star Dragon Ball. This leads into the Red Ribbon Army arc, which essentially goes the same, with both the duo meeting Android 8 and still becoming more merciful to their enemies in the future. We skip forward some more through the Red Ribbon Army arc, with the Red Ribbon Army hiring Mercenary Tao and his apprentice Tien to take out both Goku and Yamcha and retrieve the Dragon Balls. Tien gets excited upon hearing this because this is what he's been training for this whole time, to take out these two. They accept the mission as we see both Tien and Mercenary Tao take a pillar and yeet it into the distance, using it as a means of transportation, just like he did in canon. Goku and Yamcha then arrive at the base of Korin's Tower, where Bora and Upa lives. They are just about to attain the Dragon Ball when two pillars land nearby and two very powerful people step off of them. It's Tien and Mercenary Tao, sent here to eliminate both Goku and Yamcha by the Red Ribbon Army and retrieve the Dragon Balls. Tien look at the two, saying, "I hope you're ready to die," as they get into a fighting stance, before Bora tries to talk some sense into the mercenaries before he gets killed by Tao, just like in canon. With Bora dying, this really pissed Goku and Yamcha off. The two look at each other, nod, and decide they can't let that slide. Goku charges at Mercenary Tao and Yamcha charges at Tien, starting a 2v2. They seem really even at the moment, even trading blows from each side. That's when Yamcha starts to gain the upper hand over Tien, parrying an attack and landing a powerful knee to the chest and flipping off of him at the same time, while Goku gets caught by an elbow from Mercenary Tao, stunning him before Mercenary Tao delivers a spinning back kick to Goku, sending him straight into Yamcha, knocking them both over. That's when Tien decides they should end this now, as he uses Solar Flare, blinding both Goku and Yamcha. Mercenary Tao and Tien both capitalize on this opening by barraging the duo with multiple powerful attacks before launching a dual Dodon Ray, seemingly killing the two on the spot. They collect the Dragon Balls and they fly off to accept their payment from the Red Ribbon Army. A few hours later, Goku and Yamcha wake up in a lot of pain, realizing they lost horribly. And they realize the only reason they survived is because they had a Dragon Ball hidden in their shirts. That's when Upa tells the two that those two mercenaries took the bag that had their Dragon Balls in it, adding even more to the loss that they already had at the moment. They sit there for a while before Upa remembers that Bora said something about someone really strong being at the top of the tower. This really catches their attention, because if this is true, they might be able to get even stronger than before. So with their minds made up, they begin to race each other up to the top of the tower, reaching it in a quarter of the time it took Goku to do in canon. They make it to the top of Korin's Tower, and they receive the same training that Goku got in canon. They try to catch Korin and get the divine water from him. After finishing the training and drinking the water and realizing it was just regular water, Yamcha notices that they got noticeably stronger from it. Korin then notices that Goku also has a Nimbus Cloud and offers Yamcha one as a token for completing the challenge. Yamcha gladly takes one because he's currently sharing one with Goku as their only means of fast transportation. With that, They thank Korin and they head off back to Upa's village. We cut back to Tao and Tien at the Red Ribbon Army base. They're notified that there are still 2 missing Dragon Balls, and it seems to still be in the same place that they retrieved the others. This confuses the two, because they believe that the only ones that the boys had on them were the ones in the bag. Commander Red says they'll get their payment once they retrieve those two last Dragon Balls. So they head back to the village to retrieve them just to get it over with. They arrive back at the village at the same time Goku and Yamcha are just about to head off to get their Dragon Balls back, running to each other again. Tien and Mercenary Tao are shocked to see these two still alive after that last attack they took. Goku and Yamcha are ready this time. They won't be caught off guard like they did before. Now here, I want to show parallels for everyone here, including what they were before Korin's training. Goku and Yamcha were both at an even power level of 290, while Mercenary Tao and Tien are both at a power level around 310 to 320. Post Korin's training, both boys are at a power level of 370. They both got a sizable increase in power from Korin's training, as well as challenging each other as rivals to further push their growth. Currently, they are around the same power level as some early Saiyan Saga characters. That's the power of having another rival on the same level as you and having the same biology. Yamcha and Goku both charge at Tao and Tien, but this time they just straight up manhunt the two. It's a very one-sided fight with Goku bullying Tao and Yamcha beating up Tien. Tien whips out the Four Witches technique and actually puts up a pretty decent fight against Yamcha. Tao, on the other hand, starts to get really careless and ends up blowing himself up just like in canon with a grenade. Tien, seeing this, doesn't back down and just charges back in to continue fighting like his life depended on it. But it was all in vain. Yamcha parries every single attack that Tien threw at him, and then at the end counter with the Wolfang Fist, knocking him out cold. With that settled, both boys hops on the Nimbus Cloud and flies off to the Red Ribbon Army base to retrieve their stolen Dragon Balls, and reviving Tora after going through Fortune Teller's Baba's trials. Goku still meets Grandpa Gohan in canon, but he has so much more to tell him, with him being a Saiyan, who Yamcha is, and about his parents. Grandpa Gohan is shocked, but he still just smiles, saying he still loves him as one of his own. Goku and Yamcha decide they want to continue training with Master Roshi, but he tells them there's really nothing more he can teach the two. They should continue their journey, with Goku and Yamcha saying their goodbyes, and Bulma actually gives Yamcha a hug, flustering Yamcha before the boys slid off. You cut back to Tien as he wakes up, seeing that Mercenary Tao is still alive. He then overhears from one of the villagers that Goku and Yamcha's training from the tower really worked. He thinks for a second, then he smiles, as he decides he's going to do the same thing they just did, before he starts sprinting up the tower. It completes the same training that Goku and Yamcha did before flying back to the Turtle School, telling Shin what happened. Shocked, he decides that the Turtle School will pay for what they did to his brother. We then move on to the 3-year time skip, in which Goku and Yamcha have been training and exploring the world. The duo gained so much more experience in battle, and their rivalry has made them push each other beyond what they thought they were capable of. They both had a power level of around 450, and even developed some crazy combos they can perform with each other. They meet back up with their friends and hear that the 22nd Budokai is right around the corner. Yamcha and Bulma have a really nice reunion here, and it actually shows more and more. They actually show more and more attraction to each other. Them aging more gave them more time to fully realize that they really had liked each other. Right here is actually where Yamcha and Bulma's relationship starts. Krillin and Roshi can't fathom how much stronger Goku and Yamcha have become, before asking if they really are the same people that they know from before. They all just laugh before making their way to the tournament area. On the way there, they run into the Crane School, and they see a couple of familiar faces. Tien and Mercenary Tao, who's not a cyborg, since he tanks the grenade way better than he did in canon, because he's a lot stronger. The tension in the air is palpable between Goku, Yamcha, Tien, and Mercenary Tao, causing everyone else in the area to be nervous because they think a fight is going to break out. but they just turn away, understanding that this beef will be settled in the ring. They fly through the contestants just like they did in canon, up until Krillin fights Chaozu. He still wins just like in canon, but it's actually much easier for him since he's just so much stronger than he is in canon. We then see Yamcha fighting Jackie Chun, which he completely overpowers him, winning the match in mere minutes. Goku, Tien, and Mercenary Tao fight some of the other contestants like Nam and King Choppa and some others, eliminating them, ending up with 5 contestants left. It's just the Turtle School versus the Crane School now. By request from all remaining contestants, the format is changed at the end from 1v1 matches to just be a 2v2 match. This gets a lot of confused looks from the crowd, but once they hear that 2 contestants were a part of the last tournament in the finals, they immediately start cheering again. If you're wondering about Krillin, he decided to just forfeit. He knew this isn't a match that he could realistically compete in, seeing how everyone here is just so much stronger than he is. And honestly, it's really just a smart move. The crowd goes crazy after the sudden revelation of the finals being a 2v2 between rival martial arts schools. We see Goku and Yamcha fist bump, then make their way towards the ring, ready to settle the score once and for all with the Crane School. Tao and Tien both glare at the Saiyan duo because currently the score against the two is 1-1. They have a win, and Goku and Yamcha have a win. The announcer has all the contestants enter the ring as the final match is about to take place. They all get into their signature fighting stances as we start the final match. They all charge at each other, clashing in the middle of the stage, going bow for bow, seemingly stalemating. Tien then backs up and unleashes his 4 Witches technique, pushing the match into their favor, forcing Goku and Yamcha on the defensive. Yamcha and Goku both smile, deciding it's time to show off one of their signature team combos they came up with. They both dash at Tien, leaving an afternoon shocking him before appearing around Tao. They launch a barrage of attacks, totally polarizing Tao before they both land a punch, bouncing him off the wall. Tien, seeing this, then blitzes at Goku at full speed before kicking him in the stomach and launching a combo of his own. He then grabs Goku by his tail and swirls him around in the air and slams him on the ground. Both Tao and Goku are down after receiving so much damage in a short amount of time. For the time being, it's a 1v1 between Yamcha and Tien. They stare each other down for a few seconds before exploding back into fighting. Tien still has the upper hand because of the 4 Witches technique. Yamcha, back into a corner, decides now or nothing as he switches to one of his signature stances before he tries out one of his older techniques, the Beast Barrage. He launches at Tien before throwing punch after punch, before hitting him in the chin and uppercutting him, and then sweeping him off his feet. He cups his hands together and shouting and thrusting his hands at Tien, pushing him back a few feet. Yamcha realizes that Tien blocked that last attack before he's shot in the back by a Dodan Ray from Tao, stunning him. Tien, seeing his opening, launches at Yamcha, landing blow after blow, kicking him up in the air and then kicking him back into the ground, bouncing him off the ground. Tao then prepares to end Yamcha's life with a Dodan Ray, but at the last second, Goku jumps in, kicking Tao in the back of the head, putting him back out of the fight for a bit. That just leaves Goku and Tien to fight. Here, Goku fights Tien and it goes very similarly to how it does in canon. But instead of just falling out of the air and Goku landing before Tien, making him lose, they decide to use both of their signature techniques, Kamehameha and the Dodan Ray, and the Beam Clash. They launch the beams at each other, clashing in the middle of the stage, and with both blasts seemingly being dead even. Goku and Tien both push themselves to the utmost limit to try to overpower one another. Right at that moment, we see 2 more beams added to the Beam Clash. Mercenary Tao and Yamcha are both back in the fight, adding their own power into the Beam Clash. Yamcha is actually the weakest one here right now. With the Dodan Ray he took to the back earlier and the massive barrage of full power attacks he took from Tien, he's not operating at max output, putting him at a disadvantage. With Yamcha being weakened from earlier, we see the Crane School start to gain ground over the Turtle School, threatening to eliminate the two right there on the spot. Right on the verge of losing, we see Yamcha struggling to keep up. For the first time in his life, he's actually being completely overpowered. No, they won't lose here. His hair spikes up, and his eyes flash yellow for a split second. Unknowingly, he taps into a card, temporarily boosting his power. That boost in power was more than enough to swing the beam struggle back into their favor, and completely overpowering Tien and Tao, blasting him out of the ring. The crowd erupts with cheers, with the tournament coming to an explosive end. and the Turtle School showing their dominance once again. Bulma, Krillin, and Master Roshi go over to congratulate Goku and Yamcha on the victory, with Bulma giving Yamcha a big hug in celebration. We then see Shin yelling at Tien and Mercenary Tao because he believed they disgraced the Crane School once again. Mercenary Tao began to argue back with Shin, with Tien and Chaozu both looking on in shame. Roshi and Yamcha then approached Tien and Chaozu, with Roshi saying he believes Tien has good in his heart and is misguided on the Crane School. Yamcha agrees, saying he's one of the best martial artists he's fought in a long time, and that he's wasting his talent staying with people like Shin and Mercenary Tao. Tien knows they're right deep down, but he doesn't just say it on the surface. Roshi says he doesn't necessarily have to join the Turtle School, but he should find his own place in the world, somewhere that doesn't hold him back from reaching his full potential. Tien then thanks Roshi before he and Chaozu head off. We cut to the Turtle School celebrating at a familiar restaurant. Goku realizes he left his things at the tournament, with Krillin offering to go get them. We see Krillin on his way back with a Dragonball, and just like again, he's ambushed by Tambourine. But instead of just dying here, he actually beats him pretty easily. He takes the Dragonball back to Goku and talks about the guy that attacked him. This catches Roshi's attention. From the way Krillin described him, it sounds like a revival of an old enemy, Demon King Piccolo. The announcer then runs in and tells him that multiple fighters have been ambushed and killed by similar creatures. Concerned, Roshi is thinking he might have to sacrifice himself to seal him away again like his master did before. Yamcha and Goku decide they'll take care of it, asking for the Dragon Ball radar, seeing that Piccolo might be trying to regain his youth again. They tell them to be careful as the two set off. We then cut to Demon King Piccolo wondering why he hasn't gotten the 4-star Dragon Ball yet, when he's then notified that there's a Dragon Ball approaching at rapid speeds. That's when Goku and Yamcha both drop in off their Nimbus clouds, landing in front of the Demon King. Demon King Piccolo sees the two, and he decides to just kill them and take the Dragon Ball from him. He spits out 2 more eggs, using his kids as a way to test them. They then fly at Goku and Yamcha, getting one shot in the process. The Demon King is terrified, seeing his 2 children wiped out in an instant. He then regains his composure and says those 2 are small fry, and they're nothing compared to him. Goku, taking that as a challenge, he charges at King Piccolo, completely overpowering him, forcing him to spit out Piccolo Jr. much earlier than he did in Genin before dying. That was surprisingly anticlimactic. Piccolo wasn't really much of a challenge at this point. Right at that moment, multiple ki blasts were shot at Goku and Yamcha. 3 people then land on the ground nearby. The dust settles and Goku and Yamcha are damaged pretty badly, but are still alive. One more, much smaller figure then lands in front of the two before knocking Goku and Yamcha out cold before taking the Dragon Ball. Who are these people, you ask? Well, it's none other than Garlic Jr. and his henchmen. He's finally collected all 7 Dragon Balls, and he's finally going to get his wish for immortality. They then fly off, leaving Goku and Yamcha unconscious on the ground next to Piccolo's dead body. A few hours later, they wake up in an unfamiliar place. Looking around, they see that they seem to be on some type of platform in the air. That's when 2 people walk in, Mr. Piccolo and Kame, and they're currently on Kame's lookout. They greet the 2 and explain to them who they are, and Kame then thanks the 2 for dealing with Demon King Piccolo. Yamcha then asks about what happened with those other people that ambushed them. Kame then explains the history he has with Garlic Jr., how he wants to rule over the world, and how he just used the Dragon Balls to attain immortality. And as it stands right now, they stand little to no chance against him. They sit in contemplation for a bit before Mr. Popo suggests sending the 2 into the Room of Spirit and Time for some training. Robin then thinks about it and decides, yeah, they could probably handle themselves in there very well. So he decides to set up the room, but decides to only be in there for 2 weeks. They need all the training they could get, but they don't want to risk spending too much time in there, allowing Garlic Jr. to run rampant on innocent bystanders. Kami also asks Mr. Popo to go in there and help them improve their ki control. With that, they head off into the Room of Spirit and Time, getting used to the gravity and learning how to use ki more effectively. 2 weeks later, the 2 exit the Room of Spirit and Time, not growing too much in strength, but they learned a lot of new abilities. like ki sensing, flying, and learning how to manifest ki in different shapes and forms. They then thank Kame and Mr. Popo for the help as they fly off in search of Garlic Jr. to get their revenge. Real quick, before we continue, we'll go over the power levels now. Goku is at a power level of 650, Yamcha is at a power level of 660, Garlic Jr. is at a power level of 600 in base and 7,200 in max form, and his henchmen are around 550 each. The duo gained a reasonable amount of power, and they learned some pretty important techniques to deal with Garlic Jr. Garlic Jr. still has that buff form he had in the Dead Zone movie, but I'm nerfing him here a bit so he's able to fit more into the story better here without completely destroying the power scaling of the What If. Also, the buff form in the movie didn't really have too good of speed. It didn't really gain too much speed, so it shouldn't be too difficult for them to try to deal with him. They arrive at the Destroyer City with Garlic Jr. welcoming them to the start of his new dictatorship of the world. Garlic Jr. welcomes Goku and Yamcha to his new dictatorship of the world, with Yamcha saying he will pay for all the lives he took today. Laughing, Garlic Jr. says he's now mortal and stronger than they could ever imagine. At that moment, he signals for his henchmen to get rid of the two as they launch into battle. Goku and Yamcha clash with them, going back and forth, blocking and launching attacks of their own. At one point, Goku overpowers one of the henchmen, landing a few attacks, then shooting a ki blast, completely knocking him out of the fight. They fight for a bit longer, with the occasional blast being shot here and there, ending with Yamcha knocking out the other two henchmen with the Wolf Fang Fist. Garlic Jr., annoyed, shoots a blast at each of his knocked out henchmen, wiping them off the face of the planet. This really angers both Goku and Yamcha, because those are supposed to be his allies, and he just killed them like they were nothing. All because they weren't strong enough to defeat them. Yeah, they really can't let that slide. They get into a fighting stance, ready to face Garlic Jr., which upon seeing this, he just laughs, saying they stand no chance against his full power, before powering up, shocking both Goku and Yamcha. Garlic Jr. powers up, and starts rapidly growing in size and power, sending chills down their spines. Even Kame, up on the lookout, can sense it, is becoming very concerned. He didn't know Garlic Jr. had this much power locked away, and is second guessing if Goku and Yamcha could even take this guy down. So, as a last effort, he goes with Popo to meet Master Roshi, because he might need one of his techniques to deal with Garlic Jr. Garlic Jr.'s power is growing so much, it's causing tremors in the land, shaking the area so much that even buildings that weren't already destroyed topple over violently, crumbling away into dust. Garlic Jr. finally reaches his max power and says this is the end for you, before charging at the two, landing a double clothesline, knocking the wind out of them, sending them flying into nearby rubble. They pick themselves back up and decide to go on the offense, charging at Garlic Jr. They manage to get some hits in, with them not really doing too much damage to Garlic Jr. before they get caught by an attack, getting launched right back onto the ground. That's when they realize they can't really challenge him head on, since any attack from him just deals significant amounts of damage to them. Plus, him being immortal means they won't actually be able to do any lasting damage to him because he can just shrug it off. They think for a few seconds before Goku realizes that Garlic Jr.'s speed didn't really increase much from what it was before. They're still more agile than he is and can really use that to their advantage. With that figured out, they charge back at Garlic Jr., ready to put their theory to the test, and what do you know, his speed really didn't increase at all. Dashing all around Garlic Jr., they launch multiple attacks, even throwing out a few combos that really piss Garlic Jr. off. Tired of playing tag, he releases a ki shockwave, blowing the two back before launching at Goku, landing a fierce combo, knocking him unconscious before blowing him away with the ki blast, leaving him in a near-death state. Yamcha, seeing this, is just frozen. Everything goes black around him as he looks at the near-lifeless body of Goku laying on the ground. Garlic Jr. notices Yamcha watching and starts laughing. He starts to mock Yamcha, saying he doesn't have time to be grieving the loss of his little rat of an ally because he'll reunite them real soon. But Yamcha isn't paying attention to a word Garlic Jr. is saying, with moments of Goku and Yamcha playing through his head. The first meeting, training with Roshi, both Budokai tournaments, and the training with Kame. Right at that moment, Yamcha snaps as his hair spikes up and his pupils completely disappear, entering a berserk-like state of the card. He lets out a roar as his power explodes after witnessing his best friend basically die right in front of him. At this point, he is not in control of his power right now and is just fighting off pure instinct. Him accessing Ikari and getting a nasty rage boost makes him much stronger than the initial 10 times boost that Ikari gives, meaning he's much stronger than he should have been here. Actually, Yamcha has a massive advantage with him becoming much faster as well as getting stronger. He charges at Garlic Jr., completely overwhelming him with a barrage of attacks, inflicting massive damage with each attack. The attacks being so fast and Yamcha moving at crazy speeds means he can't even react to them, meaning he's basically just a punching bag for Yamcha to take his anger out on. Garlic Jr. is being thrown around to destroy the city like a ragdoll, before Yamcha stops and forms giant purple claws around his hands and feet, before coating his entire body in ki, turning himself into a giant beast with crimson red eyes. Even while berserk, he created a new beast-like technique out of pure rage, using the things he's learned in the Room of Spirit of Time, showing he's not just some mindless beast. He lets out another roar, but it sounds much more like a wild animal. He creates a dense fog out of his ki before he disappears in it, leaving a horrible feeling in Garlic Jr.'s stomach. It's like the feeling of being hunted. Hearing the sounds of multiple claws hitting the ground all around him, Garlic Jr. starts to look around frantically, catching glimpses of multiple sets of red eyes looking directly at him. He then feels a sharp pain in his back as a giant claw mark then appears, with multiple more slashes hitting him at the same time. We then see multiple canine and feline looking creatures attacking Garlic Jr. at the same time, before one much bigger creature clamps its jaws around him, flinging him around and throwing him in the air, and launching a massive blast, hitting him dead on, seemingly ending him on the spot. With that, Yamcha slowly powers down before passing out due to the insane amount of fatigue. Using that much power for that long caused a lot of stress on his body and his mind. That's when Garlic Jr. falls back down on the ground, landing on his feet after tanking the attack. Pissed, he says he's had enough of these games as he powers up, beginning to unleash his dead zone attack. That's when at the last second, he's hit with a large amount of green swirling energy, being sealed away by Kame, who just arrived after Yamcha lost consciousness. This marks the end of the Garlic Jr. saga, with Yamcha using the berserk-like Ikari state after Goku almost dying, and Kame finally sealing him away, stopping him from unleashing his dead zone attack, causing irreparable damage to the earth, or maybe even destroying him in the process. Kame then takes Goku and Yamcha to Korin's tower to have them heal with senzu beans. Regaining consciousness, Kame tells the two that he's managed to seal Garlic Jr. with the Mafuba after Yamcha dealt significant damage to him with the technique he used. Yamcha is confused because he doesn't even remember anything after he blacked out. The last thing he remembers was Goku lying on the ground lifeless. Kame thinks for a second, then says Goku survived his injuries and is currently on the lookout training with Mr. Bobo. He then lets Yamcha know that he has a lot of power locked away, and at the moment it seems he can't control any of it. Yamcha then looks down at his hands as vague memories of his fight against Garlic Jr. resurface, with him remembering the feeling of overwhelming and uncontrollable power. Kame then sticks out his hands, offering to train him to unlock this power, and even gain the ability to control it fully. He agrees, with this marking the beginning of the 3-year time skip, with Goku and Yamcha honing their abilities with Kame and getting much stronger in the process, with Yamcha gaining the ability to use Ikari at will, but it takes a huge toll on his mind to keep himself in control and not lose himself to the Yozaru. He even managed to recreate that technique he used against Garlic Jr., giving it the name Neo Beast Frenzy. We then skip forward to the 23rd Budokai, with Goku and Yamcha meeting up with everyone again, with Yamcha actually going to visit Bulma pretty often during the time skip, so their relationship has still been progressing very well. They're actually engaged and plan to get married right after the 23rd Budokai, but they haven't announced to everyone else yet. They talk more with their friends for a while before Goku recognizes a few familiar faces, being Tien, Chaozu, and one more face that he couldn't forget, Piccolo Jr. That's right, Piccolo Jr. is still here, just like in canon, and has come to get his revenge on Son Goku for killing his father. The two make eye contact with Goku smirking, thinking the tournament might have become even more interesting now. Goku then sees a woman looking at him angrily before turning and walking away in a huff, confusing him, with Yamcha thinking she looks pretty familiar. Then he realizes that woman is the daughter of the Ox King, Chi-Chi. We then cut back to the tournament starting, with the matches being basically the same as in canon, with Goku showing off against Tien, Yamcha beating Krillin, and Goku starting his match against Chi-Chi. And just like in canon, Chi-Chi reveals who she is to Goku and why she's mad at him, leading to his marriage proposal, catching everyone off guard, especially Yamcha and Bulma, since they were actually going to announce they were getting married after the tournament. After a wild marriage proposal, we see Goku and Yamcha getting ready to fight in the semifinals, but at the last moment, Yamcha forfeits, surprising everyone there, except Goku and Kame, who was in a disguise nearby. This confusing turn of events causes the crowd to start murmuring about why this is happening, with the announcer approaching Yamcha, asking for an explanation on why he decided to forfeit, in which he says, "I want Kakarot to be at his best when he fights in finals. He and Piccolo Jr. have some history to hash out, so it's best I don't get in between them." He then looks at Piccolo Jr. before smirking and walking out of the ring. Before we move on to the finals, I want to show how it was here. Goku is at a staggering power level of 2100. Yamcha is at a power level of 2200. Piccolo Jr. is at a power level of 2000, with Tien being at 1700, Krillin being at 1600, and Master Roshi being at 1000. After 3 years of hard work, everyone has made crazy leaps in power, with Tien and Krillin still being a decent chunk behind Goku, Yamcha, and Piccolo Jr. I know these power levels sound really crazy, but trust me, it could have easily gotten significantly stronger in those 3 years, since I've actually been nerfing their rate of growth by a lot. As originally, before revising, Goku and Yamcha could have easily been about 5 times stronger than they are here. But that's not the route I want to go with this what if. We move on to the final match of the 23rd Budokai, being Son Goku versus Ma Jr. Taking off their weighted clothes, they enter the ring, getting into their final stances before the announcer starts the match. Piccolo dashes at Goku, immediately putting pressure on him, forcing him into the defensive. Them, being similar in strength, makes this fight pretty even. After some time, Goku starts figuring out Piccolo's fighting style and tries to make an opening by dodging an attack, then landing a strong counter, knocking the wind out of Piccolo. He uses the fact that Piccolo is stunned to his advantage by launching his own combo of attacks, connecting every hit, dealing decent damage to Piccolo, even managing to knock him off his feet. Piccolo gets back up, pissed, as he then says he's just gonna wipe out the entire tournament arena, trying to pick up an attack, similarly to how he did in canon, with Goku responding with his own signature Super Kamehameha, overpowering him, leading to the destruction of the tournament arena. He then turns around and gives a thumbs up before he's shot through the shoulder by a mouth blast from Piccolo, disabling him and dealing a huge amount of damage. Piccolo then torments Goku, causing everyone to be concerned that Piccolo might just kill him right here in the arena. Yamcha is thinking about stepping in, but then he notices Goku is slowly growing in anger and in power while he's being tormented. That's when it hits him. Crap. Goku might be tapping into a card here, losing control, and this could become pretty bad. Piccolo flies up in the air, ready to finish Goku off, but that's when Goku yells out he still has the ability to use one of his arms, as he charges up, launching at Piccolo. Scared, Piccolo fires off his blast, with Goku flying straight through it, with the Nazaru appearing behind him, landing a punch right on Piccolo's face, knocking him out. Goku and Piccolo fall down out of the sky, hitting the ground, with Goku still being conscious, meaning Goku is the winner and the champion of the 23rd Budokai. Everyone runs to help Goku off the ground, with Yamcha saying he knew Goku could pull it off. Goku then smiles and thanks everyone for believing him, and says that was the closest fight he's had since he fought in the last tournament. We then cut to Kame walking over to Piccolo on the ground, getting ready to end his life. Right at that moment, he's stopped by Yamcha and Goku, saying he's not actually that bad of a guy. Just like in canon, he is spared and given a sense of being by Kame, which he just takes off, saying he'll be back to kill Son Goku later. Bulma and Yamcha get married a few weeks after the tournament, with Goku and Chi-Chi following a year later. With that, we end OG Dragon Ball off here, with Goku and Yamcha getting married to Chi-Chi and Bulma, having Gohan and Trunks being born much earlier than he was in canon. What do you guys think about this part? What do you think will happen next? Leave your ideas in the comments below, and remember to drop a like and subscribe. Thank you all for all the support on the series and this channel. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.